This chonker of a PC right here might not look as showy or flashy as other pre-builts on the market, but it has one of the most innovative integrated cooling solutions we have ever seen in a computer system. Welcome Homelabbers and self-hosters, Rich here. This is the Cooler Master Cooling X computer system in all of its milled aluminum glory. That's right, you heard me correctly, Cooler Master makes PCs now. And their first system, the Cooling X, is pretty damn impressive. Full disclosure, this is not a sponsored video. Cooler Master sent us the Cooling X for review, and unfortunately for us, we have to send it back when we're done.
Cooler Master, as you're probably fully aware, has been a PC peripheral and ODM manufacturer for ages, making PC cases, power supplies, fans, CPU heatsinks, gaming chairs, and now bespoke badass pre-built computers. Cooler Master as a company is upping its game from commodity PC parts into some very innovative and interesting designs with a launch into luxury technology products via their CMODX platform.
Alright, enough intro, let's dig into the Cooling X.
The first thing you notice when looking at the Cooling X is the lack of any glass or windows looking into the system, and in their place, two solid milled aluminum heatsinks that double as additional radiator surfaces for the wholly water-cooled system within.
That's right, those sides are not just for looks, both side panels actually serve a purpose. Those panels are part of the closed-loop cooling system and have coolant running through them, which is badass.
Both sides work in tandem with a dedicated 240mm radiator to cool the AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D CPU and the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 GPU housed within. Let's get the physical dimensions out of the way first before we open it up. The Cooling X stands 371.6mm or 14.6 inches tall, by 149.4mm or 5.9 inches wide, by 266mm or 10.5 inches deep. This places it firmly into the smaller form factor category with a total internal volume of 14.8 liters, and it weighs in at a hefty 38.1 pounds. The Cooling X is very monolithic in stature. The color and finish match seamlessly between the plastic front bezel and the aluminum sides, and all angles and edges come together perfectly with no obvious gaps or unevenness. The front of the case is solid, with two thin strips of digital RGB lighting on the left and right sides, and RGB backlighting ringing the Cooler Master logo, which also doubles as a power button in the center. This is the only light show you're going to get from the system. Up top, we have a door that exposes the I/O shield of the motherboard. That's right, the motherboard installation is 90 degrees opposed. Cooler Master did something pretty interesting here in terms of cable routing. Both the motherboard, which is an MSI MPG B650i Edge Wi-Fi, and the RTX 4080 GPU, which is made by Zotac, expose their ports to the top of the case. Cooler Master uses short extension cables to extend the mainboard's USB headers and the GPU's monitor connections to the top edge of the back of the case to keep the look clean.
And here is my first complaint. They provided a majority of the ports you'd want out the back. You've got your USB-A's and a USB-C, and your HDMI and DisplayPort connections, but in what I think is a real head-scratching decision on their part, they didn't extend the physical Ethernet port from the motherboard to the back. The motherboard has a native 2.5 gigabit Ethernet connection built in, but to effectively use that port, you need to leave the door open on top and an Ethernet cable hanging out, and that just breaks the design aesthetic.
Anyway, around the back of the case, we see the pass-through connections up top, the massive 240mm radiator, and the PSU and power connection, and on the bottom, a full-length magnetic dust screen to keep the insides clean. The bottom of the case is the only air intake the system has. Air is drawn up from the bottom and pushed through the 240mm radiator inside.
I know you are probably dying to see inside the system, especially considering the whole case is practically one massive liquid-cooled radiator, but first, let's talk about the hardware configuration of the system. Notice how I said the hardware configuration, and that's because unlike other pre-built systems you may be familiar with in the wild, the Cooling X only has one hardware configuration to choose from. Starting with the CPU, as previously mentioned, the Cooling X rocks an AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D CPU with a base clock of 4.2 GHz and a boost up to 5.7 GHz, 16 cores, 32 threads. It's literally the best consumer desktop CPU you can buy from AMD. Also, as mentioned, the Cooling X hosts a Zotac RTX 4080 GPU, so you know you won't have any issues playing your favorite AAA games. Speaking of RAM, the Cooling X comes with 64GB of DDR5 5600 RAM, which should be plenty for most demanding gamers or content creators out there. For storage, the Cooling X has you covered with not one but two 2TB NVMe 4X SSDs for a grand total of 4TB of solid-state storage. Additionally, the Cooling X also has built-in Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, and 2.5 gig Ethernet on board. And finally, the unit ships with Windows 11 Pro. Okay, let's open it up and have a look inside.
Here's where we see the care and engineering that went into the design of the Cooling X. The milled aluminum radiator side doors are quite heavy and swing out to provide easy access to the internals. Cooler Master used good quality swinging hinges here and they pivot smoothly. Starting on the left side, we see the pump affixed to the side and flexible black tubing used to make the connections throughout the case. Looking deeper in, we can see the 240mm radiator affixed to the back of the case, the MSI motherboard, the custom CPU water block, and the Kingston Fury DDR5 RAM. Tucked down below in the bottom, below the 240mm radiator, is a Cooler Master V850 SFX Gold CPU. Around to the right side of the case, we again see the inlets and outlet ports on the right door radiator, and we see the Zotac RTX 4080 GPU connected and mounted with its custom water block. Below the GPU, we have a spare SATA power and data connection for an additional 2.5-inch SSD if the 4TB of onboard storage isn't sufficient. Every cable and tube run is well organized and thought out, and the inside is super clean and tidy.
The instant we got this system out of the box, I was dying to put it under our infrared camera to see how well, if any, those side radiators actually work to cool the system. Let's take a look at that now.
This is a side profile of the unit on our table. You can immediately see the warm spot beginning to emerge on the back right side where the inflow of warming coolant is passing through the panel. If we speed up the footage, we can see how efficient that side panel is at absorbing heat and radiating it out. This tells us the side panels aren't just a gimmick, they actually work. We monitored the case with IR for about 4.5 minutes, and by that point, the system had reached equilibrium at around 38 degrees Celsius. Man, I love infrared.
Your next question is probably going to be, how well does this thing actually perform? And the short answer is, based on our testing, incredibly well. Obviously, we're not Gamers Nexus and we aren't going to pretend we are, but we do want to show you our results.
We used Passmark's Performance Test 11 to benchmark the unit. The results speak for themselves. The system's overall Passmark rating came in at 16,398.3. All great numbers and nothing suspicious or concerning here.
Alright, there's only one last thing to talk about here, and that is the price. Here's where things get complicated. The Cooling X, with its incredibly innovative design, cooling concept, and top-end consumer hardware, has an MSRP of $6,999. Yeah. For that price, you get all of that top-end gear, a one-of-a-kind bespoke water-cooled system, and up to a 3-year warranty. But here's where I get incredibly conflicted. I personally love the design and the cooling concept. It is so exceedingly rare that there's something special or unique in the consumer PC market these days. Every single case looks the same, water-cooled or not. It all feels so derivative, and there's so little innovation going on. Enter the Cooling X, and I'm in love with the fact the whole case is a radiator, and it's incredibly quiet and powerful, but $7,000 is a lot of money.
For example, if we swing over to Puget Systems, considered one of the top custom PC builders for content and media creators, and we build out essentially the same system minus the custom water cooling, their price comes out to $4,735.62, which is slightly more than half of the cost of the Cooling X. I get it. Cooler Master is breaking into an entirely unique category of bespoke luxury technology goods, and they've got some pretty wild products, like a PC in the shape of a sneaker. There's also supposed to be a shark-shaped system coming down the pipe, a gaming chair that has a big motor in the base that moves around for haptic feedback, and a motorized pod-like chair thing that looks kind of like those rolling robots from Star Wars.
And let's not forget about my earlier complaint about the lack of making the Ethernet connection available without having the top door open. When we're talking about something as meticulously designed as the Cooling X, with all the attention to detail they paid elsewhere, why wouldn't they make the NIC available out the back as well? $7K for this system, awesome internal cable and tubing management, and ports out the back, but you have to leave the door open on the top with one goofy Ethernet cable hanging out. It just completely breaks the aesthetic. The reality here is that this system is for a specific kind of person who wants something incredibly unique and has a ton of discretionary income to spend for that uniqueness. A person for which money isn't an issue, and the pleasure of owning a Cooling X is worth more than double the price of the componentry inside. Unfortunately, I am not one of those people, and honestly, neither is anyone I know. I want to own this system, and I'd be willing to pay $5,000 for it, but not $7,000. Here's hoping Cooler Master's future iterations are more down to earth. And that, friends, will do it for this video. If you liked it, throw us a sub and a like, and if you have a beef with anything I've said here, let me know in the comments below. Special thank you to our YouTube members. You help keep the lights on, and we thank you for it. If you'd like to help support the channel, consider becoming a member or buy some of our swag. It all helps us keep making videos. And now that you've finished watching this video, how about checking out our playlist over here of other great hardware reviews we've done in the past? If you're looking for your next great piece of hardware, we can help you find it.